Our second objective today is I will be able to solve two-step equations with rational numbers, aka fractions. All right, so same process as solving an equation. Put the line down the middle, and we first undo the adding or subtracting. So I'm going to subtract 1/4 from both sides. Okay. Now, when I'm subtracting 1/4, I can't actually do that because 1/2 minus 1/4, I have to have a common denominator. So I'm going to change 1/2 to 2/4. Now I can subtract. So 1/4 x equals 2/4 minus 1/4 is 1/4. Then I have to get rid of my 1/4. So I'm going to divide both sides by 1/4. And if you remember, when I'm dividing by 1/4, I keep change flip or multiply by the reciprocal. So this becomes 1/4 times 4/1. Simplify across, and I get 1. So that means that x equals 1. And if you look at the thing, that looks really messy and really ugly, and I don't really like it. I don't like working with fractions. So, how many of you would rather not work with fractions? And I would assume that all of you in your head right now are saying, I would not like to work with fractions either. So, I'm going to teach you something that you did learn at the end of the year last year. But that makes fraction equations super, super easy. And I will say that by the end of last year, my students were really good with fraction equations. Okay? You might not get it right away, but it will come, I promise. So write down this equation again and do what I do. It's okay if you don't understand it right away. Just get in the habit of doing what I do. So the first thing I'm going to do is put every term in parentheses. So 1/4 x is a term, 1/4 is a term, and 1/2 is a term. If you remember, terms are separated by plus, minus, and equal signs. Then I'm going to find the common denominator of all my denominators. So I had 4 and 2, and my common denominator is 4. So I take that 4 and I put it right upside every parentheses. Okay, and what that essentially means is I'm multiplying 4 times each fraction. Then I'm going to divide by the denominator or the bottom number. So I'm going to take this number and divide by the bottom number. So 4 divided by 4, and I'm going to cross off this 4 and this 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 4 divided by 4 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So now my bottom numbers are gone. Okay, I actually just got rid of my fractions, which is really nice. So now I take this top number and I multiply it by this top number. So 1 times 1 is 1. I'm going to keep the x. I'm going to keep the plus. 1 times 1 is 1. Going to keep the equals. 2 times 1 is 2. So 1x plus 1 equals 2. Now, this is so much prettier and so much easier to solve. Line down the equal sign. Get rid of subtraction or adding first by subtracting. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. And I'm going to get 1x is the same as just writing x. So x equals 1. And if you remember from the last problem, that's exactly what I got. But look how less messy it looks. And I didn't really have to deal with fractions. Okay, so this is how we're going to work with equations with fractions every time. So I would write down these steps just so that you have them. Pause the video to finish writing them down. You're going to put every term in parentheses. You're going to multiply each term by the common denominator. You're going to then divide by the denominator, multiply by the numerator, and solve the equation. So again, pause the video to write that down. I'm going to move on. So our next example, same thing. You should be writing this down and doing everything I do. I'm going to put everything in parentheses, every term. All right. So now I need a common denominator between 3, 6, and 12. And that would be 12. So I'm going to multiply everything by 12. Okay. Again, if you struggle, write out the multiples. 3, 6, 9, 12, 6, 12, and then we have just 12. So 12, that's why 12 is the common denominator. Okay, step 3 says to divide by the denominator. So I'm going to divide the 12 by each denominator. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. Oh, and I got rid of it all. Hold on. I'm sorry. All right, let's try this again. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 12 divided by 6 is 2. And 12 divided by 12 is 1. Then I take that number and multiply by the numerator. 4 times 1 is 4. I keep the x. I keep the plus. 2 times 1 is 2. I keep the equals. 1 times 5 is 5. And again, look how pretty now this equation is to solve. It's literally what we did at the beginning of class. Line down the equal sign, and we get rid of the addition first by subtracting 2. Then I get 4x equals 3. And then lastly, I divide both sides by 4. So x equals 3 over 4. Okay, and again, that was a lot less painful than if we were solving these as actual fractions. Trust me. Okay, another example. So same thing. Even though only one of this is a fraction, I still don't really like to work with fractions, so I'm still going to use this rule. So I'm going to put every term in parentheses. So 2 is a term, 2 7x is a term, and -6 is a term. Next, 2 and 6 aren't actually in fraction term yet, like it doesn't look like a fraction yet. So I'm going to put a 1 under each of them. Okay, now they're technically fractions. Okay, anytime you have a whole number, you put a 1 under it. Then I multiply by the common denominator, and in this case, 7 is the common denominator between 7 and 1. So multiply everything by 7. Then we divide by the denominator. 7 divided by 7 is still 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. And 7 divided by 1 is still 7. Then I multiply. 7 times 2 is 14. Keep the equals. 1 times 2 is 2. Keep the x. Keep the minus. 7 times 6 is 42. And from here, we solve. We're going to add 42 to both sides. So 56 equals 2x. Divide by 2. 56 divided by 2 is 28. So 28 equals x. So again, sometimes fraction equations will come out nicely into like normal, not fraction numbers, but sometimes they won't. Okay, I'm going to actually skip this example and go to this last one. Okay, I want you to pause the video and I want you to try this. If you get it completely wrong or you get stuck on any step, that is totally fine. Just get as far as you can. And then you can unpause the video and check your answer. I'm just going to give you an answer. All right, so you should have paused the video. and you should be ready for the answer. And the answer is -10 over 3 equals x. Now, if you don't know why that is the answer, you need to ask for help, please. I'm asking you nicely to ask for help. If you got that as your answer, great. If you got stuck on a certain step, that is completely fine. You should have asked for help while you were doing it, but you can now ask for help to see, I can look at what you've done. All right. You're now going to practice this for the rest of class. If you need help, let me know. Again, if this isn't coming to you right away, that's totally fine. It will get easier and you will start to understand it better. I know it's a lot of steps at first, but I promise you that this is going to make your life so much easier in the long run.